Hello, welcome to PlayStation Access. My name's Nathan, I'm here with Rob.
Hello.
Rob, the other day I went to play Days Gone.
The other day.
The other day.
The other day that's now gone.
Gone, it's gone.
Yeah.
So it's the first time we've actually got hands on with the game. We've got some new gameplay to show you, which will be interspersed in this video. But the reason I'm here to talk to you, Rob, is I've got 5 things.
Excellent.
Which are making me excited about the game.
I'm already excited about this game.
Yeah, same here actually.
Yeah.
And now I've played it, I'm even more so.
Good. Well, tell me why. Tell me why.
Well, yeah, and I want you to jump in if you want to know more about any given thing. So
Okay.
I'm going to be kind of breezing through this.
Right.
Number one, quite important, driving the bike is great. So you know that Deacon, the main character, is kind of part of a biker gang.
Right.
Obviously he rides his bike around, that's how you navigate the open world. And I was kind of interested to know whether that was going to be very different from, I'm currently playing Horizon, so obviously you can like override Striders and ride around, that's like a horse a lot. And The Witcher obviously has Roach, and it does feel different. I
guess you can't whistle and cool your bike in from anywhere.
No, it doesn't like come over a tree or a house and just like land in the middle of nowhere. No, you need to look after it. That's kind of one of the main things. So there is, when you kind of approach it, you will see that there's like a repair percentage and a fuel percentage on it all the time. So you get the idea of like this, it's incredibly valuable to you because the world is very big and you want to look after it and you've got to constantly tend to it. You can find fuel just around the world, different like vehicles and stuff, or you can go, there's a mechanic in different encampments, or certainly the encampment I was in, and you can go and it makes it one of those really easy kind of transactions where you just kind of hold square and the repair of your bike just goes, and obviously
Right.
you're spending, and the same with fuel. And to actually drive it, I will talk a bit about how you can upgrade it in a bit, and I think mine was not particularly upgraded, but it feels like they've worked really hard. You know, in Far Cry, when you get a vehicle and you're going down a hill and you just lose control and you spin up, it feels like they've really worked hard to make that not happen all the time. So you can follow the paths more easily, and if you hold down circle, it makes you put kind of traction on the back wheel, so you can kind of like, not like speedway, but you can kind of slide the bike a bit more.
So I guess as an expert at riding bikes, they've made it so that controlling the bike is not that difficult. You can be good at riding the bike.
Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to see how the upgrades kind of affect the speed versus manoeuvrability.
And is it really essential as well, the bike? I'm guessing you need it all the time.
In terms of the distances that you need to cover, you probably, like, I can imagine in a situation where your bike breaks or runs out of fuel and you have to, then it's going to be a real pain. But yeah, it's necessary in that the world is big enough to.
The idea of that though, going off on an adventure, you don't know where you are, got to find some fuel for the bike.
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of moment to moment, gives a kind of attention to the gameplay. So I like that. Number 2, combat is varied and deep, which I enjoy.
Excellent.
So I guess
two good words.
It's kind of like breaks into 4 different categories. So the first thing that I did was I infiltrated, I was looking for bandages for my friend, so I infiltrated like a little kind of military or scientific base.
Right.
And to do that I had to start a generator, and then freakers were attracted by the noise. So like you have combat against freakers, you have combat against humans, they both feel really distinctive, and in both cases you can try and be stealthy, or you can start shooting. So with the freakers initially I tried being stealthy, so I hid in a bin. Like a big kind of big kind of open garbage bin.
But then you probably made a smell when you got out.
Well, I don't think that was the problem. I think the freaker just ran straight up to the bin and started banging on
it.
So I was like, okay.
It knows I'm in here.
So then I got out and I just used melee attack, which was on R2. I had a table leg and I broke it off on this freaker's head and then stabbed the snapped off sharp bit through the freaker's chin. I was like, good, I'm enjoying it. So like the melee can be like quite brutal, and then I guess my other big experience was, which felt really different, I had to go and take down a bandit encampment, which I'll talk about about those in general in a little while, but it's a bit like bandit encampments in Horizon, or there's a similar mechanic in The Witcher. I went up, there was loads of them in there, I was casing the joint. You can kind of start quietly, never really ends quietly.
Yeah.
And I did it a lot. I found it really difficult because I think I was kind of getting to grips with the combat really quickly. And in that instance I found, so you have like a weapon wheel. I had a machine gun, I had a crossbow, and I had a handgun. And so I went in kind of stealthily, trying to be nice and quiet, killed a couple of people with the crossbow. And then I just found that the movement from stealth to going loud, and then within going loud, how I was able to dip back into stealth, and use the environment and use different you have focus on R3, which kind of quietens things down, slows up your shots. Headshots are really important because the people do take quite a lot of fire unless you're nailing the headshots. But I was trying to, I was misdirecting them. There was a guy on top with the sniper rifle and he was calling out where I was whenever he saw me, so I really wanted to kind of pick him. So I had like this really nice experience of trying to do stealth, but when that went wrong, it didn't feel like, oh, I just need to do it again.
So it wasn't a case of you get discovered, every single enemy in the area instantly knows exactly where you are.
No.
You can still hide again if you get spotted. And
it felt like I was still playing a game, yeah, even when I was kind of spotted, which I really enjoyed. And I feel like the more weapons that you kind of find and are going to be available to you, and the better you get with them, it feels like there's quite a lot to learn. And I know from looking at the crafting menu, which is what I'm going to kind of get onto in a second, that there are loads of, you can craft Molotovs and other bits and pieces. So moving on to number 3, there is a real depth to the crafting and customization. So kind of the RPG of this game is quite strong. And I will just talk really quickly about, I've got to go to a different page for this one.
You've taken lots of notes.
I know, yeah, I was taking it seriously.
It's very professional for you.
Thanks, man. I know, I just thought I'd try it for this one time. So within that military base or scientific base that I was talking about, I found a bit of what I think it was called Neurotech. Certainly Nero was the name of the company. And that was like, I mean, who knows, Rob? Maybe their bioengineering was in some way related to why the world has ended. I mean, that is a total guess.
Who knows?
So within this world, you're able to kind of grab this stuff and it makes you better.
Right.
And within that, Deacon can upgrade health, stamina, or focus.
Mm-hmm.
Separate to that, you have skill trees, which are then based on melee, ranged, and survival. And I'll give you some examples. So with melee, like an early one is you can repair a melee weapon with scrap. So obviously you just get a bit better at like beating people up. Or it could be that heavy enemies can be stealth attacks, like that's a more kind of developed one. So you kind of, these are the kinds of improvements that you'll be used to seeing in like, which way do you like to play? Like, oh, I'm more stealthy, so here are some stealth skills. With ranged, it'll be stuff like unlock focus mode while aiming a ranged weapon, so it means you can slow things down and aim for headshots, or standing enemy shot in the leg will collapse, which I really liked. So that's like a really, I've not seen anything like that, like that specific one in a game before, but even having done only one bandit encampment, I was like, I can totally see how, I could have shot that sniper, he'd have been on the ground, and then even though the situation has gone loud, I'd have been in a tactically much better situation.
Yeah.
Or headshots for cover health, just another perk. And in terms of focus, let's have a look. You can toggle R3 to loot items, and then you can see loot items available in survival vision, or you can outline enemies in survival vision if you get really, really good. That's like one of the high-end ones. So that's just kind of an example of the 3 different skill trees that he has.
So by the end, you're just going to be a ghost,
an
absolute badass, or a Rambo.
Exactly. I don't know. See, some games, by the time you level up to and you're getting towards the end game, the natural curve will be you would have to have specialised, or be quite general in all of them. Some games, they let you pretty much fill out every tree, and then you're basically walking around, like a superhero, which would also be really fun. There's also loads and loads of crafting. So there's like a grid of, nicely laid out grid of materials, and then like you click on them and it tells you what they can make, and it's, all the things. I actually hadn't found that many recipes in the game that I was playing, but it seemed obviously a very different game, but along similar lines to the kind of Last of Us. We're kind of post-civilization, and you're knocking together things like medikits and Molotov cocktails, and
shivs.
Table leg with nails in was one of the things that you can definitely make in Days Gone.
Is there an official name for that?
We should think of one. No, I don't know what it is. I can't think of a good one. We should never have thought of this.
Table leg with nails.
Yeah,
just call it that forever.
I mean, it does what it says on the tin. And just to go along with this, one of the things I really liked about the game was that the use of the touchpad, where you kind of flick up, right, or up, right, left, or down. And that will bring you to like, the map, the crafting menu, your skills menu. It just felt it's a really nice UI. I know that we don't often talk about the menu design, and it might not be final at this point.
Remember Killzone Shadowfall had something similar. Selecting different types of weapon, I think you're just swiping a direction on the touchpad, and it felt great, and we've not seen it implemented as much since. No, it feels really smart. And obviously one of the things, I think, at the semi-serious point, something like The Witcher, or like I said, currently playing Horizon, inventory management. They patched The Witcher to make it simpler. Yes.
I think think in these worlds where you do want people to go in deep, having a really nice, agile kind of navigation, it can be quite important. Really quick note on the bike, I mentioned that you could upgrade that too, and I wrote it down. So I'm not really a bike guy, but you can upgrade performance, visual, or paint.
You can't tell Nath that you're not a bike guy.
What are you talking about? I look like a big motorcyclist guy.
Yeah.
In performance, you can change up you can upgrade engine, exhaust, the frame, suspension, nitro, tyres, forks, like every part of a bike basically, and visually, so that has no kind of, they all have an effect on how it drives.
I enjoyed how you read that list as if you were reading a foreign language there.
Thanks, man. Or the Haynes manual, just like, what's going on? Yeah, and you can also change headlight, wheels, handlebars for kind of, just for cosmetic effect as well. Cool. So your bike, I mean, when I looked down it, I was like, there are so many different options, so many different things you can change and so many different ways you can change them. And then like colours at the end, gunmetal grey, hot rod red, that your bike is going to look like your bike, which is really cool. Because my Roach is basically, I put some armour on him in The Witcher 3, but he's Roach, isn't he?
I'm already seeing all of the shared screenshots.
Exactly.
Here's me with my bike at sunset.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I mean, we're going to get onto that in just a moment. One more thing before we do about sunsets. Number 4, I got excited about just a sense of what you do in the world. I had a really quick look at the map. There were 2 missions in the little kind of demo that I was able to play. And one of them was that bandage fetching mission, the other one was the bandit camp. I also saw that there are clearing hordes on the map, which specifically going out to rid particular places of freaker hordes.
Right.
And I think depending on the environment and depending on how big the horde is, those are always going to be tactical kind of engagements. How am I going to, I'm going to put a trap down, I'm going to kill, am I going to kind of bait them over here and then actually run over here and shoot them or whatever. So the world is obviously going to be, it's really big, and like in terms of horizons and vistas, and I think it's going to be kind of full of, it just kind of gave me a clue that there are going to be not just story things to do obviously, but like I love bandit encampments in all of the other games which I've seen some of the mechanics in, and doing this one, like I said, with the combat in this game made me pretty excited. And my last thing, Rob, as is traditional when we talk about these sorts of games,
yes.
Number 5.
Oh, look how good it looks.
It looks really pretty.
Look at the clouds.
I did look at the clouds.
Look at the sun.
See, the bandit camp was on top of a hillside, so when I, it's made by Sony Bend, and they are in Bend, and that is in the Pacific Northwest, and they've kind of made a game about the area in which they live. And I've been on holiday there this year, so I can smugly say that it is an incredibly nice place to visit. It doesn't really look like anywhere else that I've been. Like you kind of have mountains and incredible kind of open countryside with kind of tall trees. But the quality of the light over there on the Atlantic coast for some reason, there's like a real pale kind of light to it. It looks amazing. They've really captured it in the game. So I was, you spend a lot of time on these kind of broken up kind of forest roads, but when you get up into the mountains and you kind of get a sense of the scope of it, it's a good looking game, Rob.
And it's not just an aesthetic thing, like the weather affects the behaviours of the freakers and things like that as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just a pretty face.
But it is a really pretty face.
But it's a really pretty face.
Yeah. So I've played it, I'm really excited about it. I can't wait to see more. Hopefully there's going to be a little bit more for us to see at E3. So do join us then, let us know what you think in the comments. Please subscribe to PlayStation Access for loads more like this.